and making sure the offense works perfectly around Joe Burrow, making sure that he has time in the pocket to throw the ball and to make good decisions, and that he has the type of players around him to get the ball to that he had at LSU that made him so successful. So when you look at the Bengals O-line, they have, and I'll have to take an entire episode later to break this down. What I would do if I was the Cincinnati Bengals this offseason. We have two guys locked up for next year. Jonah Williams, who we took in the first round last year, tore his labrum, did not play at all this year. By all means, they said he was a home run pick, a great left tackle from Alabama, who will probably be our blindside guy for Joe Burrow. And we have Trey Hopkins, who's our center, who we locked up this year, the extension, graded as one of the top 15 run-blocking centers in the NFL. So he's top half good, which is what you want from a young center. I believe he was drafted in the 4th or 5th round, so that's getting value for a pick. Then after that, it gets iffy, because Cordy Glenn, who we're paying the most money to, I would guarantee that he's not on the roster this year. He had several behavioral problems, didn't play in a couple games because of team discipline. So I would say he's probably donezo. Michael Jordan, the left guard from Ohio, he would know Joe Burrow. They were on Ohio State together. I think he's going to stay there. Is he going to start? Is he going to be a backup? I don't know. That's for the offensive line coach, Scott Turner, to figure out. Fred Johnson was a tackle that we picked up from the Steelers after the Steelers cut him. We picked him up. He started the last 2 games of the year. There's a lot of good film out there for him. He looked better than any player that we've had playing that position in the last 3 years in those last 2 games against the Dolphins and the Browns. So I would give him a chance, at least in training camp, to compete for one of the spots. Billy Price, we took in the first round a couple years ago out of Ohio State. He would also know Joe Burrow. So I think giving him a chance at left guard would be good again. I mean, you don't want to cut bait with your first round draft picks too early. You want to give him a chance. And he improved as the year went on. So I do think Billy Price plays into the Bengals' future. Alex Redmond's a guard that he's just been bouncing around. He played every position on the Bengals O-line this year besides center. I think he's a guy that'll probably stay there. And then when you look, and you spend money on the O-line, you spend picks on the O-line. The biggest O-line get this year would be Riley Sheriff. He's the guard from Washington. I think he's very good. I would pay him as much money as we could possibly pay him. There's several draft picks. I like trade AJ Green to the Bills, the Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Seahawks. And for the Dolphins, it'll obviously be one of the Dolphins' later picks, 18 or 25, whichever one of those they want to give away. And you take Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa, who just declared for the draft a couple days ago. So I would take him. And then when you look at the Bengals skill players, it's perfect around him. You got the deep threat in John Ross. You got the underneath guy in Tyler Boyd. You got the big guy that has a catch radius 7 miles wide in Auden Tate. You got a running back that can run the ball or catch the ball in Joe Mixon. You got a young tight end in Drew Sample who didn't really get a chance to prove anything, but he fits the George Kittle type of body that you want in a tight end. And then the biggest part of all this is AJ Green. I don't think AJ Green was that hurt last year. I think he could have played last year. I think it was part of the tank, which is the best tank ever pulled off by any NFL team ever. But I don't think he's really hurt. I think we're going to trade him and we're going to get a first-round draft pick for him from one of these teams, and take an offensive lineman in the later part of the first round. If you're the Bills, who your number one receiver is John Brown, you clearly have a problem in terms of receiving talent on your team. Why not trade a first-round draft pick that you're probably going to miss on anyways to get a guy who's a 7-time Pro Bowler, a guy who's healthy, who when he's healthy is a top 5 receiver in the NFL. He runs the deep ball. He'd be a great guy with his size and catch radius. He'd be a great guy for Josh Allen to have to throw to. So I'm thinking we're going to trade him to the Bills for a first-round draft pick. We're going to take Tristan Wirfs from Iowa. And then the last part of the whole Joe Burrow thing is the attendance. The Bengals ranked worst in the attendance in the NFL this year. It was the worst attendance year in Bengals history, which is saying something from a team that doesn't have great attendance in the past. Paul Brown Stadium was 72% full for the year. And they, on average, brought only 4,700 people in. It's not good. That was the lowest average by a lot in the NFL, not including the Charger Stadium because they have a 28,000-seat stadium, I think. They play in a soccer stadium. It's the worst in the NFL. It's the worst in Bengals history. I think drafting Joe Burrow alone kind of fixes that. Because he's a local guy from Athens, Ohio, who could bring in and say, hey, this is us building for the future. Come buy a Joe Burrow jersey. I know I'm buying a Joe Burrow jersey. I'm getting a custom Joe Burrow jersey. Where on the back is spelled Burreaux. I already have it ordered. So that's just being an honest Bengals fan. We are going to win multiple Super Bowls. Joe Burrow is going to be the best quarterback of all time. And I think it's easily the best move for us to make at this stage. Chase Young is going to be a great player. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Maybe. Defensive linemen miss just as most quarterbacks do. And I trust the Bengals drafting staff because the last two quarterbacks they've drafted, Carson Palmer, the last time we had the number one overall pick was who we drafted. He went to 2 Pro Bowls in 7 years. Probably would have made a run at the Super Bowl in 2005 if he doesn't blow his knee out. Chemo Van Alphen cheap shots him in the knee, takes his knee out. We lose that game to the Steelers. We probably win the Super Bowl that year if he doesn't get cheap shotted. We take Andy Dalton in the second round. For everything everybody wants to say about Andy Dalton, his first 5 years, he goes to the playoffs 5 times, 3-time Pro Bowler. As a second-round draft pick, that's not too bad. That's what you want from a second. That's the best-case scenario for a second-round quarterback. You go to the playoffs 5 times in the first 5 years. And no, he didn't win a playoff game. But he played good. In 2015, he had an MVP season. So the Bengals don't miss on quarterbacks. They haven't missed on a quarterback since 1999, where number 3 overall they drafted Achilles Smith, and he's one of the biggest draft busts of all time. But since 1999, since 2001, I think is when Duke Tobin took over our drafting and analysis. We've done a very good job of not missing on quarterbacks. And we, for the most part, haven't really missed in the first round. Besides recently, where Cedric Ogbuehi and a couple years ago, Andre Smith, we've missed on those. But besides that, we've done a very good job of nailing the first round. Now, what's key for this year is the draft. You got your first round pick is a layup. That's the easiest part of the draft. You have to go out there and you have to find guys in the later rounds. Take Lynn Bowden from Kentucky, the quarterback, wide receiver, running back. Take him in Kentucky in the 3rd or 4th round. Give yourself a dynamic playmaker that you can do anything with. You have a fun offensive coach who's supposed to be an offensive genius. Do anything you want with him. Take a lineman in the later rounds as a scout guy. Take Thad Moss at some point. I want a Moss jersey for the Bengals. Take a lineman. Take Thad Moss. Take Lynn Bowden. Just put forth an effort to make this team really good because this team's not too far away from being very good. All right, and that's all I'm going to have today. I will say, if you leave, like, share, subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe, resubscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe. If you leave a review of the podcast on Apple iTunes, I will put your name in a hat and draw a random name, and that person will win a $25 gift card to the 07. So, there's that. So, thank you very much. Shout out to everybody that told me to get a microphone because now I have one. I hope this sounds good. I'm not really listening back to it. I'm just going to trust the microphone. So, everybody, you guys have a good day. Go Bengals. Go 49ers. Go Tigers.